Sometimes, right before a major quantum jump, life feels strange. Not chaotic, not entirely peaceful, but as if something is shifting under the surface in a way you can't quite name. The conversations around you feel a little hollow. The routines that once gave you comfort suddenly feel irrelevant. Even your ambitions, the ones you used to chase with so much energy, feel like they've lost their flavor. This can be unsettling because the mind has been trained to believe that progress looks like constant activity, constant movement, constant doing. But in truth, this strange quiet you're feeling is one of the most important signals that your life is about to transform. It's not stagnation, it's not apathy. This is recalibration. In quantum mechanics, before a particle shifts to a new state, it enters what's called a period of uncertainty. Physicists might describe it as a superposition, a moment when a particle holds multiple potentials at once, none yet collapsed into reality. This is not a pause. It's the most dynamic state imaginable. At this stage, every possible outcome exists, and you, right now, are in that same state. It's a liminal space, a doorway between timelines where the old version of you is dissolving and the new version is forming in a reality that already exists in the quantum field. The human mind, obsessed with linear progress, struggles to trust this. It wants to see evidence, results, steps, but the quantum doesn't play by those rules. What you're feeling is the dismantling of the old vibrational blueprint. Think of your life as an intricate web of patterns, beliefs, and energetic signatures. For years, those patterns have held you in a certain frequency, which kept you in accord to a specific timeline. But when your higher self decides it's time to move, that web begins to loosen, threads start snapping, old energetic contracts expire. Because this all happens at the vibrational level before it appears in the physical, the first thing you notice is the stillness, the emptiness, the absence of your old drive. This can feel like something is wrong when, in reality, it's the surest sign something is about to go profoundly right. Spiritually, many traditions describe this phase as the void. Mystics speak of it as the fertile darkness, the place where creation is seeded before it blooms into light. In the void, your soul is reorganizing itself to match the reality you are calling in. The old tools you used to navigate life may no longer work here because they belong to the identity you are leaving behind. Your job now is not to panic, but to breathe into the stillness and trust it. The silence is not empty. It is full of quantum information, reorganizing your reality in ways your conscious mind cannot yet see. Science supports this too. Studies on neuroplasticity show that the brain needs periods of downtime to rewire itself for new patterns. When you're stepping into a new frequency, your nervous system is adjusting. Your brain's predictive models are recalibrating, and your body is learning a new energetic baseline. This recalibration phase is essential because you can't carry the chaotic frequency of the old timeline into the stability of the new. You must release before you can receive. Imagine the moment before a great symphony begins. The lights dim, the audience grows silent, and then the musicians take their places. That silence isn't wasted time. It's the preparation for something powerful. Or think of it like a bow being drawn before an arrow is released. The tension isn't a delay, it's the very thing that will propel you forward. Right now, the universe is drawing you back not to hold you down, but to launch you into a trajectory you couldn't reach with sheer effort alone. Here's the key. Most people misinterpret this phase and sabotage their jump. They panic at the stillness, mistake the void for a problem, and start scrambling to fill it with old habits and low-frequency distractions. But the more you resist, the longer you stay suspended between timelines. The ones who make the leap are those who learn to lean into the quiet, to see it as proof of progress rather than absence of it. If you can shift your perspective, if you can see this strange calm as the quantum loading screen for your next chapter, then you'll start to notice subtle signals that the field is rearranging itself around you. A random conversation that sparks a new insight, an unexpected release of emotion, a sudden clarity about something you've been confused about for months. These aren't coincidences. They are micro-adjustments in your frequency, lining you up with the new reality. So if you're here feeling a little out of place, unsure of where you're going but certain you can't go back, congratulations. You are in the exact vibrational space where transformation becomes inevitable. In the next moments we share, I'm going to show you how to not only survive this phase, but to use it as rocket fuel for your quantum jump. Because once you recognize it for what it is, you'll stop resisting and start moving toward your next timeline with clarity, trust, and the magnetic pull of inevitability. One of the most misunderstood aspects of a quantum jump is that it rarely begins with a burst of energy or a dramatic sign from the universe. More often, it begins with friction, not the chaotic kind that throws your life into obvious turmoil, but subtle, disorienting moments where the things that used to fit you no longer feel quite right. Relationships that once felt comfortable now feel constricting. Work that once gave you purpose feels hollow. Even your inner dialogue starts to sound foreign, as if it's coming from a version of you that no longer exists. This is the frequency mismatch phase, the moment your soul is accelerating into a higher vibration, while parts of your life are still operating in the old one. In quantum terms, this is what's known as decoherence. When two systems, in this case your inner state and your outer reality, are no longer vibrating in harmony, the tension becomes impossible to ignore. That tension is not a mistake. It's a signal that your current reality cannot sustain the energetic blueprint of where you're going. Think of it like trying to run the latest software on outdated hardware. The system will lag, glitch, and eventually crash, and not because something went wrong, but because an upgrade is required. That upgrade is your quantum jump. Spiritually, this is where many people start to question everything. Why does it feel like I'm falling apart when I'm supposed to be leveling up? The truth is you're not falling apart. You are falling out of alignment with your old timeline, and that dissonance is the exact force that will propel you toward the new one. Imagine standing with one foot on each of two boats drifting in opposite directions. Eventually, you will have to commit to one, and the one that matches your frequency will always feel like relief, even if it requires you to leave the familiar behind. Here's where most people get trapped. The mind, uncomfortable with uncertainty, tries to cling to the old. It will tell you to fix what's breaking, to smooth over what's falling apart, to restore what's fading away. But in the quantum field, restoration of the old is a step backwards. What feels like breakdown is actually the shedding of density. Old beliefs, patterns, and identities that can't travel with you to your new timeline. If you rush to patch them back together, you delay the jump. If you allow them to dissolve, you accelerate it. Physics gives us a metaphor here. When an electron jumps to a higher orbital, it must absorb a precise amount of energy, no more, no less. Once it reaches that threshold, it instantly transitions to the new state. There's no in between. Similarly, your quantum jump happens the moment your frequency matches the reality you're moving into, not when you force it, not when you push for it, but when you allow the old frequency to fully release so the new one can lock in. This is also why so much doing at this stage is counterproductive. The frantic need to fix, prove, or push is a sign you're trying to bridge two incompatible realities with effort. And effort is always a slower mechanism than alignment. The quantum field doesn't care how hard you work, it cares how purely you vibrate. A single moment of clear resonance will do more for your shift than weeks of unfocused action. If you've noticed lately that certain things are falling away, friendships, opportunities, even aspects of your personality, try this. Instead of asking, how do I get them back? Ask, what is this making space for? That single shift in questioning changes your frequency from resistance to receptivity. In the quantum field, resistance is like static. It scrambles your signal. Receptivity is like a direct channel. It calls in the exact timeline that's already tuned to your desire. Here's the paradox. The more you try to rush this stage, the longer it lasts. Think of it as a necessary decompression chamber between who you were and who you're becoming. In scuba diving, if you ascend too quickly, you get the bends. Your body can't adjust to the rapid change in pressure. Spiritually, the same principle applies. If you try to leap without integrating the energetic changes, your system will pull you back to stabilize. This is why patience, trust, and presence are not passive states. They are active components of the jump. So if right now your life feels like it's half erased, if you're standing in the rubble of what no longer fits but can't yet see what's being built, you are exactly where you need to be. This is not a detour, this is the launchpad. The dissonance you feel is the energy winding up, ready to propel you into the reality that already exists for you in the quantum field. Your only job is to stop gripping the edge of the old boat and let the current of the new one take you. Because here's the truth. Your quantum jump is not waiting for the right time. It's waiting for the right you. The moment you stop trying to fix what's leaving and start attuning to what's arriving, the field will snap into place around you. That's when the shift happens, suddenly, seamlessly, and with a sense of inevitability that will make you wonder why you ever doubted it. Right before a quantum jump, you might notice that your emotional world feels amplified, as if someone turned the volume up on every feeling you have. One moment you're buzzing with excitement, certain that something extraordinary is about to happen. The next, doubt seeps in, whispering that maybe you're imagining it all. This isn't moodiness or inconsistency, it's the emotional signature of a system in transition. In neuroscience, your brain operates on predictive coding, meaning it constantly runs mental simulations of what it expects to happen based on past patterns. Even as your higher self is pulling you toward a new reality, your subconscious is still clinging to the old blueprint, trying to run the outdated program because it feels safer. In quantum terms, this is superposition, the strange, fascinating state in which two or more possible realities exist at the same time. You are in both timelines, the old one you've been living and the new one you're stepping into. Your emotions become the flicker between them. When you feel surges of hope followed by waves of uncertainty, it's not a setback. It's a sign that your energy is oscillating between states as the field searches for coherence. The stronger the oscillation, the closer you are to a collapse, the moment when one timeline becomes the only one. This is why emotional fluctuations before a quantum jump often feel intense. The stakes feel higher because your inner compass is recalibrating in real time. Every belief, memory, and attachment you've carried is being scanned by your consciousness. Does this belong in the new reality, or is this an artifact of the old? That process is emotional by nature, because emotions are the chemical signals of change. They tell your body that you're in unfamiliar territory, and your body's instinct is to keep you safe, which often means holding on to what's familiar even when it's not aligned. The mistake most people make here is interpreting the doubt as proof they're failing. They start thinking, if I was really close to my quantum jump, I wouldn't feel this much fear. But that's like thinking turbulence means the plane isn't flying, when in fact turbulence means you're moving through layers of atmosphere that require adjustment. Your emotions are adjusting to an altitude you've never flown at before. The faster you learn to ride the currents instead of gripping the seat in panic, the smoother the journey becomes. Here's a powerful shift in perspective. Instead of labeling your emotions as good or bad, see them as energy signatures. Joy, excitement, fear, uncertainty, they are all currents of energy moving through your field. None of them are inherently wrong. They're simply telling you where your focus is in this moment. If you react to them as obstacles, you reinforce the oscillation. If you observe them as indicators, you begin to stabilize your signal toward the reality you want. From a spiritual lens, these amplified emotions are a form of initiation. The universe is essentially asking, can you hold your frequency steady even while the winds change? Because the timeline you are stepping into will also bring new experiences, challenges, and unknowns. Your capacity to remain coherent now is what prepares you to thrive later. In this way, emotional turbulence is not a test you can fail. It's the training ground that strengthens your vibrational stability. One practice that accelerates this stabilization is conscious neutrality. When the excitement is high, don't cling to it as the only sign you're on track. When doubt arises, don't treat it as a warning to turn back. Instead, breathe into both states, knowing they are temporary fluctuations within a much bigger trajectory. Imagine yourself as the eye of the storm, still, centered, watching the weather shift around you, but not being carried away by it. This level of emotional mastery is the hallmark of someone who is seconds away from collapsing into their chosen reality. So if lately your feelings have been all over the map, know this: you are not unstable. You are in motion. The field is adjusting to hold you in the frequency of your desired timeline, and the more gracefully you navigate these waves, the faster the oscillation resolves into a single solid reality. Soon you won't be flickering between worlds. You'll have landed fully in the one you've been calling in. Most people imagine the final test before a quantum leap as if the universe were a stern teacher standing at the front of the class with a red pen waiting to mark their paper. But the truth is far more intimate and far more empowering. This isn't the universe deciding whether you're worthy. It's your own subconscious running its final diagnostic, surfacing the last fragments of your old identity, so you can choose consciously to let them go. You might find yourself suddenly facing the same kind of challenges you thought you'd already outgrown. A conversation that pushes your buttons in exactly the same way an old relationship did. A money situation that triggers the same scarcity panic you felt years ago, or a wave of self-doubt that sounds eerily familiar. These moments are not punishments. They're mirrors reflecting back the frequency you used to inhabit, so you can decide once and for all whether you still want to live there. From a neuroscience perspective, your brain loves efficiency. It will always reach for the most well-worn pathways first, the familiar responses, beliefs, and behaviors you've rehearsed for years. When you're on the brink of a quantum jump, those neural patterns are still firing, hoping you'll give them one last confirmation so they can stay in place. The only way to rewire them is not through force, but through demonstration, behaving as the new version of yourself, even when the old triggers are right in front of you. Every time you choose the higher frequency response, you weaken the old pathway and strengthen the new one. In the language of quantum mechanics, this is a collapse of the old probability wave. Until you make a new choice, both versions of you, the one who reacts from the past and the one who responds from alignment, exist simultaneously. The moment you act in a way that aligns with your chosen timeline, you collapse the reality of your old self, and the new one becomes the only active signal you're broadcasting into the field. This is why the challenges that arise right before a shift feel so charged. They are the final superposition between who you were and who you are becoming. Spiritually, this stage is less of a test and more of a ceremonial crossing. It's the moment you stand at the threshold, holding the key to your new reality, and the only thing the door asks of you is to respond from the frequency you've been cultivating. If you meet scarcity with gratitude, anger with compassion, doubt with unwavering presence, you're not just symbolically ready. You're vibrationally locked into your new timeline. The field doesn't need to approve you. It simply mirrors who you are being, and in this moment, being is everything. The danger here is misinterpretation. Many people see these resurfacing challenges as proof they're going backward. They think, if I'm still attracting this, I must be failing. But the reality is the very appearance of these scenarios means you've shifted enough for them to be flushed out of your field. You can't clear what you haven't yet outgrown. The fact that you're aware of these patterns now, and that you're even asking yourself how to respond differently, is the strongest signal that you're almost there. Think of it like a simulation in a flight simulator. Pilots train for turbulence so that when it happens in real life, they already know exactly how to stabilize the plane. The final test moments before a quantum jump are your simulator runs. They give you the opportunity to embody your new state under conditions that would have once knocked you off balance. Pass this test, meaning respond from your upgraded frequency, and you're not just imagining your new reality, you're living it in real time. So if right now you're experiencing tension, setbacks, or people from your past resurfacing, don't automatically assume you're stuck. Instead, see it as the clearest sign possible that you are brushing right up against the threshold of your leap. This is the moment to hold your alignment the most fiercely, to act as if the jump has already happened, because in a very real quantum sense it has. Engagement command. Right now, anchor your decision into the field by typing in the comments, "I'm ready to pass the test," and let that be your quantum signal that you've already crossed. Here's the thing nobody tells you about a quantum jump. It rarely arrives with a parade. In movies, the big transformation moment is dramatic. Fireworks, swelling music, a before and after so obvious you can't miss it. But in real quantum reality, the leap often arrives quietly. One day you wake up and notice the fear you used to feel isn't there. The problem you obsessed over somehow feels irrelevant. A conversation that would have triggered you last month now leaves you completely unmoved. The shift doesn't announce itself, it just becomes who you are. And because it feels so natural, your mind may even try to downplay it, thinking, was that it? This is where understanding the nature of quantum change is crucial. In physics, when an electron jumps to a higher energy level, it happens instantaneously. There's no gradual climb, no visible struggle. One moment, it's in one orbit. The next, it's in another. That's exactly how you shift timelines. The arrival isn't about fireworks, It's about resonance. The old frequency drops away so completely that it's hard to remember why it ever felt like home. From a neurological perspective, this is the integration phase. Your brain has stopped firing the old circuits and started solidifying the new ones. You no longer have to try to think differently, it's simply your default. This is why so many people miss the moment of their leap. It feels like breathing, and that's the point. The version of you who lives in your new reality doesn't see it as a breakthrough, they see it as normal. Spiritually, this quiet arrival is the most powerful confirmation you can receive. It's the universe's way of saying you've matched the frequency so completely, there's nothing left to manifest. You're just living it. Now there's a deep peace in the stage, a sense that you've stopped chasing and started inhabiting. And ironically, it's often when you stop looking for signs that you start noticing them everywhere. Unexpected opportunities, people crossing your path at exactly the right moment, synchronicity stacking up like breadcrumbs leading you forward. The danger here is the temptation to poke the field, to go back to over-efforting, over-visualizing, or second-guessing, because you think manifestation always has to feel dramatic. But in truth, drama belongs to the old timeline. The new one is about flow. It's about trusting that just because the jump felt quiet, it doesn't mean it was small. In fact, the quiet shifts are often the most permanent because they happen at the identity level, not just in your circumstances, but in who you are being. This is also the moment to lean into embodiment. Instead of asking, "Did it work?" you start asking, "How do I live fully as this version of me?" Every choice you make from here reinforces the reality you've jumped into. Every action is now an expression of alignment rather than a desperate attempt to create change. And that's when the quantum field responds with even greater coherence, weaving new possibilities into your life without effort on your part. So, if you've been expecting your leap to feel like an explosion, pay attention to the subtle shifts. The quiet mornings where you feel lighter, the conversations that flow without tension, the sudden clarity about decisions that used to paralyze you. These are the hallmarks of arrival. You're already in the new reality now. Your only job is to keep living there. Here's the truth. If you've made it this far in this journey with me today, it's not random. You're hearing this message because you've already been resonating with a higher timeline. You've already been tuning into the frequency of the version of you that has what you've been asking for. This isn't about getting there anymore. You are there now. It's about stabilizing, integrating, and expanding. In quantum terms, the leap you've made is only the beginning. The quantum field responds most powerfully not to desire, but to coherence, and you've just proven to yourself that you can hold that coherence long enough to collapse an entirely new reality. The next step is to make this frequency your home. That means no more slipping back into the old patterns when life gets quiet. It means no more testing the universe to see if it's still working. It's about anchoring yourself so deeply in this new identity that it becomes unshakable. Remember, you're not here to force your life into shape. You're here to align with the reality that already holds everything you've ever wanted, and then watch it unfold with a naturalness that feels almost effortless. That's the beauty of living in harmony with the quantum. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay coherent, stay present, and trust the quiet power of the leap you've already made.